Why narcissists always suffer when living with empaths. Hello and welcome to our channel. We will now discuss a topic that often arouses the curiosity of many people: why narcissists always suffer when living with empathy. Whether you've stumbled upon this video out of pure interest, or maybe you're experiencing a dynamic like this firsthand, you're in the right place. The connection between narcissists and empaths is something we hear about a lot, and for good reason. It's a relationship that can be as compelling as it is destructive. So, grab your drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into this together. We've all heard the phrase, opposites attract, and in many ways, this is true. Narcissists and empaths often find themselves drawn to each other, almost like magnets with polar energies. But here's the thing. While the attraction is undeniable, the relationship is fraught with suffering, particularly for the narcissist, despite appearances to the contrary. Many of us may be tempted to see the empath as the one who's enduring the most pain in such relationships because of the narcissist's behavior. But the truth is that narcissists, too, find themselves trapped in a world of confusion and anguish. Let's explore why that is. To understand this, we first have to grasp the essence of both personalities. Narcissists thrive on attention, validation, and admiration. Their self-image is typically fragile, propped up by an inflated sense of importance that crumbles under the slightest pressure or criticism. Because of this, they tend to manipulate, gaslight, and control the people around them to maintain a sense of superiority and protect their fragile ego. They demand constant validation to feel good about themselves. Without it, they feel empty. On the other hand, empaths are deeply sensitive and attuned to the emotions of others. They don't just sense someone's pain or joy, they feel it. Empaths have an innate desire to heal and help others, which often places them in the path of narcissists. Narcissists see empaths as the perfect source of emotional supply. Someone who is always available to soothe their ego and validate their feelings. But the thing is, that same empathy becomes a double-edged sword for narcissists. At the beginning of the relationship, a narcissist may see living with an empath as the ideal scenario. They're constantly showered with love, understanding, and validation. It feels perfect because the empath willingly offers the emotional nourishment they crave. However, this dynamic quickly becomes unsustainable for the narcissist, and here's why. Empaths are not easily controlled, and their deep sense of self-awareness will inevitably challenge the narcissist's tactics. While an empath may initially respond to the narcissist's manipulation with understanding and compassion, they will not do so indefinitely. Unlike other personality types who might either submit to or rebel against a narcissist's control, an empath will begin to sense the imbalance of energy in the relationship. Over time, the empath's awareness of the narcissist's manipulations grows, and they instinctively begin to resist. This resistance isn't always overt. It can be subtle, a quiet withholding of emotional energy, or a gradual pulling away. Empaths often believe that they can help heal the narcissist, that with enough love and understanding, the narcissist will eventually change. But here's the catch: narcissists rarely change, and the realization of this frustrates the empath. At some point, they stop playing into the narcissist's hands, and this is where the tables start to turn. Now, here's where the suffering of the narcissist really begins. Narcissists, as much as they might appear to hold the upper hand, are deeply insecure people. They cannot tolerate any form of rejection or independence from the people around them, especially those who are supposed to provide them with constant emotional validation. When an empath begins to detach, even in small ways, it sends the narcissist into a spiral of insecurity and fear. They feel their power slipping away, and with it, their sense of self crumbles. At this point, narcissists will often intensify their manipulation. They may attempt gaslighting, more aggressive control tactics, or even emotional outbursts in an attempt to regain their hold on the empath. But this is where living with an empath becomes unbearable for the narcissist because the empath sees through these tactics. Empaths are incredibly intuitive, and once they understand the game, they refuse to participate in it any longer. For a narcissist, this is devastating. Their entire identity is built on the need to control and manipulate their environment to receive the validation they need to feel whole. When an empath, someone they believed would endlessly provide this, begins to pull away, it triggers a profound sense of loss and internal suffering. They begin to feel exposed, vulnerable, and rejected, which are feelings narcissists cannot tolerate. This is why many narcissists, despite their outward bravado, often experience significant emotional turmoil in relationships with empaths. Now, here's where the empath's role becomes even more complex. Despite pulling away emotionally, many empaths still feel compassion for the narcissist's suffering. They understand that beneath the narcissist's grandiosity is a deeply wounded individual, and they often wrestle with feelings of guilt for not being able to save or fix them. But ultimately, even the most compassionate empaths recognize that they cannot sacrifice their well-being for the narcissist's endless demands. This is when many empaths choose to leave the relationship altogether, leading the narcissist to a point of deep emotional collapse. Narcissists suffer because they are perpetually chasing something they can never fully possess: unconditional, limitless validation. And while empaths can provide emotional support, they are not infinite wells of validation. They, too, have emotional boundaries, and once those boundaries are reached, the relationship inevitably deteriorates. Living with an empath forces a narcissist to confront this truth, and it's a truth they are deeply unequipped to handle. Narcissists are often left feeling abandoned, betrayed, and, above all, empty when living with an empath. Their suffering comes from the fact that their emotional needs are insatiable, and an empath, no matter how loving and compassionate, will eventually withdraw to protect themselves. The narcissist's internal emptiness is laid bare in such relationships, and without the ability to manipulate their way back to a place of control, they are left floundering in their insecurities. And let's not forget that while narcissists may project strength, underneath that exterior is a person who fears they are unworthy of love unless they can control the situation. The empath, simply by being who they are, becomes a mirror to the narcissist's true self, reflecting their insecurities, their neediness, and their fears. And this reflection is something a narcissist can't tolerate for long. So, to sum it up, while narcissists may initially feel empowered by living with an empath, they ultimately suffer in the long run because empaths challenge their sense of control, force them to confront their own insecurities, and, most importantly, withdraw the endless validation that narcissists crave. The empath's compassion, while initially a source of comfort, becomes a reminder to the narcissist of what they can never truly have: unconditional love that doesn't demand manipulation in return. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the complex dynamic between narcissists and empaths. I hope this conversation has offered you some insight into why narcissists, despite their manipulative tendencies, often find themselves suffering in relationships with empaths. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Until next time, take care, and thanks for watching.